Yeah, what is
Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOML. Today is actually a special podcast. We do have a special guest, and he's has agreed and to do his own book and his own reflections, and we really excited to hear about his reflections. So, Snow, why don't you give it a go?
All right. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Chris. So yeah, the book that I read recently was called Indistractable: How to Control Your Attention and Choose Your Life.
Hmm.
And the Near is the guy's first name. I forget his last name, but everyone can look that up. And so what I'm gonna do is I read the book, and I whenever I read a book, I make a lot of notes, and then I end up going back through and kind of break it down and do a little summary. So um let's see. So I'm going to read a little bit about my book description and reflection. Well, I've been meaning to read this book for a while, and it was not a letdown. Why was it not a letdown? Well, it made me realize what meetings should be about. They should be about gaining a consensus, not one person going off on wanting to hear themselves talk. This came about when they looked at all the distractions in the workplace. Meetings should have an agenda, and in addition, an idea of what their outcomes should look like. The author distills a lot of information down about what it's like to live in the modern world with all the internal and external distractions. There are like cell phones, other people, TV, websites. Is the distraction serving you or not? That's his main question. Is the distraction serving you or not? It's okay to get distracted, but sometimes you need to, actually acknowledge and do something about the distraction. Maybe your kid starts crying. All right, you need to take care of that, right? But if your cell phone dings, it's a notification from TikTok. Do you really need to, is that going to serve you or not? That was another point I took home. Is the distraction serving you or not? If it is not serving your goal at that time, then let it run. I did something sort of fun at work today and did a note catcher as I was working to stay focused on the presentations. And yes, they were going on for too long. Really, this book is all about people building a better life for themselves and getting done what they want to get done. Our brains were wired to give attention to everything that comes up, but not everything is a threat or a necessity to take care of anymore. A distraction is a distraction only when you have a forethought about what you are wanting to focus on. I'll say it again. A distraction is a distraction only when you have a forethought about what you want to be focusing on. So if you quote from this book, the antidote to impulsiveness is forethought.
Mhm.
And a couple of notes that I'm going to read off. It is easier to succumb to distractions when you're not psychologically filled with a sense of autonomy, competence, and relatedness. These are important factors for me to think about in my life. Distractions impede us from making progress toward the life we envision. Even the written word was blamed for forgetfulness in the learner's soul, which is a quote from Socrates. Being indistractable means striving to do what you say you will do. And yet I think there's an art to this, because I do want to notice when a distraction, something that comes into my sight, may actually be serving me if I am paying the right amount of attention. Indistractable people are as honest with themselves as they are with others. All right. One reason I realize why I eat so much sometimes is their concept of boredom. People would rather do something than be bored, even if it is to create pain for us, as was the case with the electric shocking experiment. The drive to relieve discomfort is the root cause of all of our behavior, while everything else is a proximate cause. Buying some new clothes is the cause of not feeling up to date with the current trends and the pain associated with the discomfort. We love to be able to thrive. We love to be able to relieve that discomfort. As the Buddha said, life is suffering. Realize it is suffering, and a lot can be at ease. Watch and witness the mind. Let it be. Enjoy the present. So I think I'm going to stop there and leave with a question for you guys to think about. And the question is, actually, before I go into that, one thing he talked about was in this book is how behavior, all our behavior is a combination of our motivation, our ability, and triggers that we get. So even my behavior to talk right now is my motivation to explain this book, sound smart, my ability to be, I do have an ability to be able to talk. And I must be getting some trigger because, well, here we are, it's Monday night, it's 8:30, and here I am. But I thought it was a neat concept to look at all our behavior as a combination of motivation, ability, and triggers. So my question to you guys is, what gets you distracted in life in general, and what was a distraction that pulled you away from something today? Check.
I like it. Thanks for sharing, Snow.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Before I answer your question, actually, I had a question for you. What's like the one thing, if you're gonna take like one action item out of this book, that you want to apply to your life? Like what would be that one thing that you could see holding on to, like, visualizing,
No, it's a great, I mean, honestly, I think the book title just sews it all up. Like, don't be, or I think, like, what I was just saying, like, is the distraction serving you or not? So having like being goal oriented and seeing if distractions are serving you or not. Because it's not good to like just throw any distractions out, like throw out the bath with the baby with the bathwater.
Right.
To be cognizant of what's going on around you and seeing if the distraction is serving you or not.
I like that. I agree. That's like a purposeful way of looking at the distractions that come and go across your life and choosing which one you want to honor and which one you don't. So I like that. That's good. That's something I'll definitely keep in mind and remember. In terms of a distraction for myself that I had today. So I just got back from well, actually, before I do that, I just want to say it's really cool for you to do this and to share and to. It makes me selfishly really, the whole selfish gene, right? It makes me selfishly really excited and happy that you're willing to do this and to go down this with us. And I really appreciate you sharing. So thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, just wanted to say that. Yeah. But beyond that, though, to answer your question, so I just got back in town late last night, actually, from Tampa. I was visiting one of my close friends who lives down there, and just kind of taking advantage of this time off that I have before I start my next job, and just having a good time or whatever. This morning, Luca got sick somehow. We really don't know. We went to New York last week as well to go to the US Open, and somehow when he was with like my parents, while Felicia and I were gone, he got sick, like really sick. Like I don't know where it came from, but it was like all of a sudden, boom, when we came back, he was just snot running everywhere, coughing, like couldn't hardly breathe, wheezing, yada yada yada. So it was kind of a rough week last week on Felicia because he was kind of getting a little sick, I guess. So this morning, or last night, I landed, and it was like I got home at like 11 o'clock, and she was like, "Hey, just an FYI, I told our nanny that she had to take him to urgent care yesterday, just to like, because she was getting a little worried. He was kind of wheezy a little bit, and it sounded like this thing was getting worse. He was struggling eating, like he kept choking on everything. And anyway, long story short, our nanny is pregnant right now, so she was like, I don't think I want to come in tomorrow, and we were like, that's totally understandable because he has bronchitis basically. She didn't want to get sick. So I literally landed, and as I'm driving back home and get home at like 11:30 last night, she's like, "Hey, you got to take care of Luke all day tomorrow." And I was like, well, I mean, obviously he's my son, so I mean, I'm totally fine with that, and I have the capacity to do it. But I was planning on getting back to my normal routine and waking up in the morning, be able to be refreshed. I was really looking forward to writing, my new reflection for a lot of these new books I just finished over the past week, because I took a week off and was enjoying all this stuff. And yeah, so from the jump, like my whole day was just screwed. So so I would call that a huge distraction. You know, I was not that my son's a distraction, but the scenario was a distraction. It was something that was unexpected and something I had to give my attention to. So all day long I was kind of scrambling around to get done the stuff that I normally want to get done. So I ended up, you know, to your point, being purposeful about my activities. So I always like to get a workout in with my daughter and, you know, go, you know, enjoy outside and, you know, whatever it is. Normally I could do it with just us. Today I had to take Luca with us. So we went on the 5-mile run with the stroller, which is something we've never done before, you know, so, you know, we had a great run together. And then afterwards I was able to, during his nap time, was able to, you know, get my writing done. And, you know, then by the time we got home, like, you know, ended up doing all my normal stuff, you know, was able to listen to a book with him while we were running on a run. And anyway, yeah, I mean, it all worked out, but to your point, like it was a huge distraction. And I immediately had to scramble to say, okay, like, I could have just shut down the day and been like, you know what? All right, this is just what I got to do today, you know, instead found another way to make sure that I turn that distraction into something that still aligns to what I care about every single day and what I want to do. And then be able to make it here to the end of the day to hear you guys. So, so yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you got to have purpose about what you, even if shit's going to come into to focus, and you have to have purpose to guide your actions, to make sure that you're constantly meandering around it, to understand why are you doing what you're doing in the first place. I don't exercise every day just to go get exercise. Like I exercise to do stuff with my daughter, to spend that time with her. You know, I don't write just to write every day. I'm writing to do these other things, you know, with her. And like I could do that anyway, any shape, anyhow. I just need to, you know, find time to carve it out. So that I don't know if that's a good answer to your question, but that's exactly how I think about it as well.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's like, well, what I hear is, yeah, your day got like lopsided, and you, I mean, even though it's a distraction, like you didn't let it distract you from like what your goals are, you know?
Right.
And yeah, because there's always going to be like, yeah, things that come up or whatever that don't make whatever our plans are perfect. But yeah, you stay like, I guess, yeah, you're right. You just stay aligned to what your goals are and what your habits are. And then it just like, yeah, you become creative, and you use your values really like to accomplish what you know, what you want to accomplish. And that's like that forethought.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the beauty about values, right? They're totally abstract. You know, like if somebody took tennis away from me, like I don't know. I mean, as long as I could figure out another way to express why I like tennis in another avenue, you know, or something along those lines. Like that's the beauty of, you know, if I can't go to the gym today or something like that, I can go take a stroller run, or maybe just a long walk. Maybe, you know, what, it doesn't matter. You know, it's about spending time with, you know, my daughter doing stuff that I like, which is being outside and thinking, you know, contemplating, like just, you know, spending time with her. So yeah, yep, I'm with you 100%.
Cool. Trio?
Yeah, so I really liked this book. I mean, it sounds like a great book, and a lot of the points you are making, I mean, I can't disagree with them. I mean, it sounds logical. And for me, as far as distractions all comes all the time, every day, almost every hour. But you know, a lot of time for me, it's like when a distraction comes, I would actually compare to what I have to do on a important scale value. Like for example, something that is important and urgent, like, you know, for the kids, if the kids is sick or the kids need to pick up from school, right? It doesn't matter what I have to do. It's more important, it's urgent, and I have to go and do that. And for me, if on a day when you say, you know, if you eating a lot just because you're bored, it's a lot of times it's because we don't have a set, I guess, a set agenda of what we want to do for that day. And when you do that, and when you don't have that, when something comes in, you can compare and say, okay, is this more important than what I was going to do? And if you do that, and then you will be distracted, whether it's good for you or not. You can't make that judgment until you have two things side by side to compare. So a lot of time, if you prepare your day and you are say, these are the kind of things I have to do, and these are what I want to do, because it's in order of importance and urgency. And then something comes up, you say, well, that is not as important as this, so I choose this. So for me, I'm thinking of the distraction, like something you fills your cup, right? You have a cup, it's gonna fill with something. It's gonna fill with air, or it's gonna fill with water, or with soup, or with vodka, whatever it is you wanna fill it at. But it's always gonna fill with something. It's so if you have something of less value, right, and it has air in it, well, it's gonna be more value than air, so it's gonna replace air. So something else will replace it, and so it's a matter of what comes, and the value, I guess, comparison, how you evaluate what point you give on a value scale determines on your value and what and how urgent it is to you, so that you can replace, because you won't place it for. So for me, this past weekend, I actually went to Austin to my my nephew's 1-year birthday party. That's distraction, because I didn't know. My wife just told me, hey, we're going to Austin, right? Say, we are. So I have all these things planned out, like, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and the other. So I have a whole list of things, but those whole list of things was not as urgent as going to my nephew's 1-year-old. So I went, and the other stuff gets pushed behind, but I still get something I plan out to get done. But that's an example of distraction. And for me, that distraction is okay. It's fine, because I knew where that event stand in terms of the priority. And I noticed that whenever I don't have my days planned, then anyone asks me something, then I do that. If my father-in-law say, hey, I can you do this, can you do that, or whatever, I would do, because I had nothing to say no to. But if I had something, so I have to do this, I have to go to this place, I have to go to that place, right? And I say, well, this is what I'm doing. Can you, figure it out if you can, put a time in those slots where I'm available. So with the, like Chris was saying, if you have a purpose, right, it's hard to displace it unless that has a more important value than the current plan one. And so I noticed that if I plan my day, or wanted to do, say, hey, today I want to do this and that and the other, right? I wanna go on to YOML podcast, and I want to do that. The other stuff's gonna have to wait. Whether I'm gonna cook dinner or whatever, I'm gonna either cook before, I'm gonna cook after. It's gonna have to go around it, because the importance of the event you prioritize based on what you want as a person. Because for other people, talking on a podcast like this and talking to YouTube isn't as important, but for me it is. So therefore, I'm gonna make that no matter what. And not no matter what. If my kids are sick, then I tell Chris, hey, sorry, I couldn't come today. But like 99.9% of the time, I'm always here, because it's important to me. And because even if I'm in Austin, right, I would say, hey, I gotta go take some kind of a private time, and I for an hour, and I would go on to Zoom, and I would have this podcast with Chris. And so that's the kind of things is, it depends on that value. And if you have the value, then other things can displace it. Just like, when we're talking about something, like when we think about something, right, it's gonna hold, it has a place in our minds. But if we don't have anything, it's going to be whatever comes, I'll take. So we have to deliberately figure out, when we go to a meeting, like you say in the book, you have to, a meeting is, what are we trying to do? What's the agenda? You can't just go meet just because you want to go meet, because they could go anywhere, and you can waste a lot of time just because, hey, you just get together, we're talking about, we shoot the breeze and whatever. I mean, there's no action involved. So you're meeting for the meeting's sake, not for getting an answer or consensus or whatever the case may be. So for me, I really, really love the fact that the book kind of like emphasize on having an agenda for the meeting. For me is, I don't want to meet unless there is something we want to get out of it. Okay. I want to ask your opinion. Do you want this or you want that? And if that's the case, then we'll go meet, because I need to talk to you about that and have you decide on your choice of A or B or C, whatever. But I don't want to go to meet, just hey, just go meet and talk about and we'll see. To me, that isn't a productive meeting, and it's, in my mind, it seems like a waste of time. And sometimes I get frustrated just because I'm not getting any structure to because the thing is, having something you want to do and having things that you put in between, I can't really decide and compare where it belongs in terms of that priority list. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that does. I mean, one thing I just really think, like, yeah, like you're talking about meetings, like meetings can be great because you do have different like opinions, people have different personalities, different experience, different wisdom that they bring. So meetings really can be good, but they're only good, if it's like about gaining some consensus, not just someone like just wanting to hear themselves speak.
Or this is a meeting, like this is a meeting, like, I mean, whether or not we want to call it that or not, like, or it's just to voice your open-ended topics and voice your opinion about it and have a discussion and listen and learn and be open to it. But if you have a specific thing that you want to get accomplished, you need to give them time to prepare beforehand, to write it down, to come in with their views already. Because the worst thing that you could ever do in a meeting that is to have a specific outcome come out of it is to go into it to say, okay, here's the problem. What do you guys want to do? Like, nobody is going to have that answer for you. Somebody might step up in the meeting and say, hey, do this, this, and this, and this is what we're going to do. And usually that's the highest paid employee in the room kind of thing, that always has the final say. And nobody cares about that. Nobody wants that. Like, there's so many meetings at Salesforce that I would go through that there was just like, literally, it was, hey, we're here to meet with everybody because we like to have meetings, there literally was, it was just one person leading a meeting saying, hey, this is everything that happened this week. Cool. Like, we all just sit there and listen, there's 50 people on a call just sitting there listening, you know what I mean? Like, and like, there is no interaction. Like, if you want, there's multiple different types of meetings. Like, this is just an open-ended conversation, like people sharing ideas freely. If you take something out of it, great. If you don't, great. But whatever. Anyway, my point is, though, is if you have a specific goal and agenda, you need to give people time.
This meeting is a perfect example, because when we first started, right, you were trying to figure out what book you were gonna do, but I stopped you. I said, hey, today we want to have a Get podcast, because that's what you told me. This is particularly a perfect example of an agenda, because if you wouldn't have told me about that, like, I wouldn't have stopped you, because I wouldn't know.
Right.
I wouldn't know. And no, we pay, okay, if they don't want me to talk about my book, then it won't happen. You think about it, because this particular meeting, like, it's specifically, okay, we want to hear about what Snow's reading and his reflection on the book. It's a Get podcast. That is specifically the agenda we want to go over the meeting. Right. And if you introduce anything else, and I'm going to evaluate, and I said, well, we think, well,
that's not what we're here for.
I've been anticipating a book from Snow, and I've been waiting. So I said, no, I said, Chris, you have to kind of like give Snow today to do his reflection, right?
100%.
Because if we didn't have an agenda, how could I object to you doing whatever you're trying to do, like before we start this recording? And so for me, this is the perfect example of indistractable. Right. We have the agenda, because you told me last Thursday, hey, Snow is gonna do the Get podcast, and I said, all right, I can't wait, right? And I waited and I waited, and Monday comes, lo and behold, I want to get a podcast, and it happens, right? And to me, having that agenda really drives the directions of the meeting and what we talk about. Just because, yes, it's an open-ended meeting and it's a discussion about ideas, but the ideas is about the book that Snow read and his reflection on it. It's just going to be, let's talk about, let's talk about the weather, talk about politics, talk about, okay, Monday Night Football started. Let's talk about, let's start about that today, right?
Yeah,
anything.
You're right. Yeah.
No, it's not. We're talking about indistractable. What can you do to, decide whether or not distraction is good for you or isn't
Well,
good
like,
for you.
yeah, because it makes you think about, like, I think values. I wonder if, like, actually, if all there is values that help you from being indistractable. But I find myself, like, when I'm thinking about, like, oh, maybe I'm about to get distracted by something, but it's like, no, what value do I want to live into so I'm not distracted by, like, the current, I don't know, like the something that came up. So I think values help you be indistractable.
100%. I mean, that is
I
that
agree.
is
Yeah.
1000%, like the way that I always bring myself back to what am I doing and why am I doing it? Like there's like, and that was not the way that I was before this whole journey. I was pretty good about it, but it was basically just like the core things in my life. Like I was indistractable about my work, or something like that, about like, hey, I got to get something done, but I didn't know why I was getting it done. Like today was a perfect example of exactly what you just said. I know why I was doing what I was doing today. And I knew why I reworked my whole entire schedule to make sure that I was able to accommodate what I needed to accommodate that was urgent and important. But this goes back to the whole first things first principles, right? Like what True was saying earlier about his whole, when I look at my day and if I have open time and I'll do it. But that's why I love literally taking the principle of first things first right out the gate. Like I love to get the things that I need to get done that I value the most. And then after that, I'm like, come what may, right?
Yes,
like,
that's how I
yes.
feel. I've been feeling the same way these days.
Right. I mean, it matters. Like that's how you're indistractable. You still get the things done that are really important to you that you value. And then, then the rest of the day is, like you mentioned something, Snow, about like, I don't know the exact words you said, but it was, what I heard when you said that was like, be open to the omens that happen in life, from indistractable, whether or not when a distraction comes up, do you say like, oh yeah, that's an omen to me. Does that align to my values or not? Like, I'm like, oh yeah, that's an omen. Like, if it aligns to my values, if it's a distraction that I like, kind of thing. And you can't be open to that. You can't be listening to things until you've got your shit done that you need to get done that matters to you, that aligns to what you're trying to do. So now, I mean, that was what I was hearing when you were saying that. I don't know if you would call it an omen. Would you call that an omen?
Yeah, but I guess there's things that come up. Yeah. No, I like that.
I mean, and things will come up all the time, and that's just a fact, right? Is you have your directions, but there's multiple roads you can take. So you say, well, if I get presented with multiple path on the road, which one should I take? Well, depending on where you're going, right? You can't say, oh, there's a road, I'm gonna take that one. Oh, there's the one, I'm gonna take one. The same thing with like if you have a job offer, right? And you have like 3 job offer, which one you take? You can't say, oh, I want to take any one of them. Like, oh, I would take one of each, right?
You shouldn't have been applying for 3 different jobs, in my opinion. Just personally, like, I mean, you should only have been applying for one job if you.
But what if somebody comes to you and knocking your door and say, hey, hey, Snow, I think I like what you do, and I would like to offer you an opportunity to help my company do this, that, and the other. And then another one comes, without you even soliciting.
That's different.
And so there's distractions in that sense as well, because a lot of times you have those forks in a road. There's multiple paths to take. Which one do you take? So it goes back to decide, okay, where am I going? Who I am and where am I going? Then that choose the road that's going to be fitted for you. So the omens can be good, but having the omens and having the ability to take that omen and compare to what am I doing? It is a fit with what I'm doing, and there's a fit with who I am. If it does, then that particular distraction is going to be higher in the priority list than the other. So, you could plan something, but something else better can come along and could be recognized as a better thing for you to take, be more beneficial for you versus something else. So distraction is going to be always going to be there, and it's going to be very numerous, and it could be varies from priorities and weight of importance. But that's something that without having a scale of some sort, right? There's no way for you to judge. And so if that's the case, then a lot of time we only take the first thing that comes. Right? When you take the first thing that comes, you basically got filled with something, and something better comes, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You just can't grab the opportunity.
You guys want to hear the you guys want to hear the ultimate distraction that happened to me on Saturday?
What was it?
So this is hot breaking news. So Felicia's pregnant again. And
Whoa.
I learned it on Saturday. I was hanging out with my buddy, and we were having a glass of wine or something like that. It was like the middle of the day, and she was calling me because she was taking care of Luca, and she was like, she was all stressed out about Luca, and she was like, and I just found out I'm pregnant, and I was like, what?
What?
What did you just say? Like,
Oh my God.
So, I
Oh,
mean, this is like late breaking,
Congratulations.
instantaneous news. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like super
Yeah.
early. I mean, literally, she just. I mean, we were not trying to have a kid. I mean, so but hey, come what may, right? We'll
Yeah.
definitely aligns to the values of the Margot, the giggling guru, my psychic that I went to all the time. She told me that Amelia was going to be the baby wrangler, meaning like, she saw like 4 or 5 babies, that Amelia was, putting it back into this world. So she's doing her job, man. I mean, we were honestly, we were not like, I mean, we weren't even talking about having another kid yet. It was like, hey, she just started a new job. I'm getting ready to start a new job into this month. Like, I mean, there was, I mean, it was like, I mean, actually, ironically, the TMI maybe or not, but she literally just got her she's been breastfeeding for the past 18 months for Luca, and she literally just got her period back for the first time one time, like last month. Like that was
Oh my God.
so yeah, it's not even been possible until now.
You're a sharpshooter, Chris.
Jesus,
Yeah.
no, I mean, but talk about distracted, right? I was
It's
like,
ultimate
well, shit.
distraction.
Yeah, right. That just changed everything over the next couple
you
years.
should start a new job, and she's running a startup, and then Luca is only like a year old, right?
Right. Yeah, like 18 months. Yeah.
18 months. Yeah.
Crazy. So anyway.
Well, congratulations, nonetheless.
Thank you. Yeah, that was wild, man. I literally got off the phone. I went to go talk to my buddy and his wife. And I was like, I'm not supposed to tell you guys this. Oh shit, I probably wasn't supposed to tell you guys this either, but I don't care. I've learned my lesson these days. I don't really give. If something bad happens, something bad happens.
What do you mean by that?
But anyway, no, I got off the phone.
There's no surprises. Is this a surprise party or something like that? I mean,
no, I'm just saying, like, you never know what's going to happen with any pregnancy.
Right, but that has nothing. It is what it is. It has nothing to do with the, hey, you're expecting or you're not expecting.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, like, I don't know what the outcome is of all this, but today I'm really happy. But I was telling my buddy as soon as I got off the phone, I was like, I don't know what the hell just happened. I was like, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but whoa, obviously that was all I could think about at the moment. I was like, it's like, I'm just off in another world going like, oh man, this would be really cool. We got to like change the new bedroom. We got to, make a new nursery. Got to do all this. I was like, this is exciting, Yeah. So I was certainly distracted. I'm certainly distracted right now too. Cause I'm like, shit, we got a lot to figure out in the next few months, but
it's a good distractions.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah.
So there we go. Late breaking news on the YOML podcast.
Yeah.
Your reflection.
Exciting. It is exciting and ultimate distraction for sure.
Right.
See, Snow, I told you today episode was a special one.
Yeah.
You bring good luck. You bring good omens to us.
Yeah. It's good.
Awesome. Would you guys have any final thoughts, Snow? Anything else you want to share with this one?
No, I don't think so. I would just say, make sure in your meetings that you actually do, like, also one thing I've been taking on is, like, I guess trying to be a leader of the school is like making sure that meetings, like, all right, no, let's not just like browse over or push something over if we haven't formed a consensus about something, because sometimes that can happen in meetings too, like, oh wait, we didn't actually come to a consensus about something. Like, no, if we need to come to a consensus, like, either we're gonna table it or like, hey, but coming to a decision, all right, we're gonna table this like decision for now, or like, let's come to consensus on this, because like we don't need to leave with like ambiguity, like, right, when we're all here.
What was the goal? Like, if we just all sat down and got together and asked a lot of questions and walked away, and everybody was like, well, I don't know.
What?
That's the worst of like having action items you hand out to people after meeting when like nobody even agreed to do whatever they're doing, and they're like, yeah, fine, I'll do that, and then like then you have to hunt it down, for the next 3 months or whatever, and everybody remembers, oh shit, did you ever get that done? And you feel like an asshole, and
Yeah.
Say what?
it just sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, having a agenda makes me feel more productive. And when I leave with a certain concrete to do, whether I know I'm doing this and somebody else doing that, it makes me feel like less of a burden, like something's lifted off my shoulder versus coming out of the meeting with I don't know what happened. So there's some sort of like a fuzziness or a haze kind of on my brain. It's just muddle my thinking for the rest of the day. And so for me is, I really like an agenda for the meeting. With a meeting, what do we want to accomplish? Even as general as this, we want to talk about this particular book. Can we talk about this book and what we can learn from it? Doesn't have to be very specific, but it still has to have a direction. And that gives me, more of a clarity in my mind, and the clarity gives me peace of mind versus having that, it's a burden you carry. It's like your mind is kind of muddled a little bit. And when you have that, it's like you can't do anything else. You have this like gray cloud cover above your head sort of feeling. So for me, I do feel that a lot of times. So my advice based on my experiences, try to get that settled before you get out of the meeting.
I could agree more. And actually, I would say my final take from this book would be not only having an agenda for a meeting, you have to have an agenda for your life. I mean, like that you could replace the word agenda. Right. Yeah. You could replace the word agenda with purpose, in my opinion. Like what's the purpose of this, and if you don't have a purpose for anything that you're doing, then, you should probably think about that. Like, because if you're just doing shit to do shit, like you're doing
because
it.
You think about it, if we go to this podcast every single day, Monday to Thursday, and we say, okay, I'm doing this for fun. How many times you think I'm gonna come back?
I mean,
probably less than
not.
5, 10,
right?
Not 100, not 200.
Yeah. So what do you do
then
if you don't do it for fun, Trio?
I mean, you have to have an agenda, have a purpose. What do you do for me is one of the core value I have is learning. And for me to learn from what Chris thinks and kind of do a sounding board for my ideas onto him and kind of get back a sounding board, kind of validates what I'm thinking, that I'm not, this totally weirdo kind of deal. It's important to me, and I could do this infinitely until, the day I die. And so for me, I don't count the episode. I don't count any of these things. I'm just, excited to come and do one at a time, bird by bird kind of deal. And so this is why Chris and I have been doing this for a long time. And there's not really that, hey, are we getting tired of this or whatever? I don't think about it. I don't count the days. I just say, okay, today's Monday. We have, one of these meeting and we have something to talk about. And I'm excited to learn about what he thinks and what I think about what he thinks and stuff like that. It's going to expand my knowledge and horizon on the things I have not seen and I have not known. Because I learned a lot from him, from the books that he read that I've never touched, just because, I have my own little niche of circles, and his circles is a little bit, different and maybe bigger. And then I can, maybe tap into some of the things that I would never have come across in my life. And I've done that. And like I said, I have learned many things from him since I met him 2.5 years ago. And to me, I feel like I'm a much better person just because of the things that I've been able to learn from the conversation we had.
That was awesome. Yeah. I think true, you said it best. I mean, that's a great way to end this one. Snow, I'm anytime you want to do this next book you finish, I don't know if you ever feel really inspired, you just learn a lot from a book or whatever, like, by all means take the reins. True as well, I've been asking you to do this your own for a while now, but, You should do it on like, Why We Sleep or something like that, or one of those ones that's just like,
That would be great. Yeah, because I really do learn a lot from like, Chris, your stuff or whatever. Yeah, true. You should do a book sometime. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I'll keep that in mind.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining, obviously, and Snow, thanks for hosting this one. And
yeah, it's 9:15.
yeah.
It's past 9:15. I really gotta get going here now. So
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again, and we will see you all next time. And Snow, repeat your question again for everyone, if you don't mind, just so they can.
Yeah. So yeah, the question to leave with is, yeah, what do you find is a distraction in your life?
Love it. Awesome.
All right.
Awesome. All right.
We'll see you next time.
Guys.